How much do you really know about the history of the United States? You might think it all started in 1776. But the story of this land goes back tens of thousands of years, long before any European ships ever reached its shores. This is the complete story of America, from its ancient beginnings to the modern era. Let's rewind the clock. Way back, thousands of years ago, the first people set foot in the Americas. The most popular theory is that they migrated from Eurasia, crossing a land bridge called Beringia that connected Siberia to North America during the Ice Age. Imagine a journey that started around 30,000 years ago and continued for 20,000 years until the ice melted and the bridge disappeared beneath the waves. These early pioneers, the Paleo-Americans, didn't just stop at the coast. They spread out, exploring and settling across both North and South America. Over centuries, they formed countless tribes, nations, and incredibly complex societies. Think of the Adena, the Iroquois, the Pueblo, and the mighty Mississippian cultures. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They developed sophisticated agriculture, built vast trade networks, and created stunning architecture, all without any contact with the old world. But not every part of what is now the US shares this exact story. Take Hawaii, for example. Those beautiful islands were uninhabited until Polynesian sailors, master navigators of the Pacific, arrived sometime between the 1st and 10th centuries. They built a unique and vibrant island culture, completely isolated from the American continent, with its own rich traditions and social structures. Then, everything changed. In 1492, an Italian explorer named Christopher Columbus, sailing for Spain, was trying to find a new route to Asia. While he never actually set foot on the US mainland, his voyage kicked off a mad dash by European powers to explore and claim this new world. France claimed huge territories in eastern North America and the Caribbean. Portugal grabbed Brazil, but it was the English who really dug in on the eastern coast. In 1607, they established Jamestown, their first permanent settlement, right on the James River in Virginia. This was the beginning of what would become the 13 colonies. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, settlers poured in. They built an economy based on agriculture, particularly tobacco and rice plantations. But this economic success had a dark and brutal foundation: the forced labor of African people captured and brought to the Americas, mainly through the British West Indies. By the 1770s, enslaved Africans made up almost a fifth of the entire colonial population. A tragic reality that would shape the nation's future for centuries to come. Each of the 13 colonies had its own local government, but they were all ultimately under the control of the British Crown. Colonial governors, appointed by Britain, worked with locally elected legislatures that handled taxes and local laws. As the colonies grew richer and more self-sufficient, they started to clash with their rulers across the ocean. For a long time, the idea of independence wasn't really on the table. The colonists needed Britain's military to protect them from other European powers, like France. But after the French and Indian War, which was a very expensive conflict, Britain was buried in debt. To pay it off, Parliament decided to tax the American colonies. The Stamp Act of 1765 was the first big shock. Colonists were furious. How could they be taxed by a government where they had no representatives? Their rallying cry became famous: "No taxation without representation." Things just got worse from there. Protests grew, and in 1773, a group of colonists in Boston, disguised as Native Americans, dumped a whole shipment of British tea into the harbor. This act of defiance, the Boston Tea Party, was a direct shot at British authority. Britain's response was swift and severe. They passed the Coercive Acts, which basically shut down Massachusetts's self-government and put it under military control. This pushed the colonies to unite. They formed the First Continental Congress to coordinate their resistance and demand their rights back. But peace wasn't an option anymore. The Second Continental Congress soon followed, this time preparing for war. The first shots were fired in 1775. A year later, in 1776, the colonies officially declared their independence, giving birth to the United States of America. The American Revolutionary War was an uphill battle. The Continental Army, led by the incredible George Washington, faced unbelievable hardships. A turning point came in 1777 with a major victory at Saratoga. This win convinced France to join the fight as an American ally, providing crucial support. Finally, after years of struggle, the war ended. In 1783, with the Treaty of Paris, Britain officially recognized the United States as an independent nation. With freedom won, the new nation began to look westward. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase, a massive land deal with France that instantly doubled the size of the country. Expansion continued throughout the 19th century, with the annexation of Texas and more territory gained after the Mexican-American War. But as the country grew, so did a deep, painful division over the issue of slavery. This conflict eventually erupted into the American Civil War in 1861. For 4 bloody years, the nation tore itself apart. The Union, representing the northern states, fought the Confederacy of the South. In the end, the Union's victory preserved the nation and, most importantly, led to the abolition of slavery. In the late 19th century, the US transformed into an industrial giant. Its growing influence was put on the world stage during the Spanish-American War in 1898, which resulted in America gaining territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. When World War I broke out, America tried to stay neutral, but German aggression eventually pulled it into the conflict. The 1920s roared with economic growth, but the party came to a screeching halt with the stock market crash of 1929, which triggered the Great Depression, a decade of devastating economic hardship. The world was soon plunged into another global conflict. On December 7, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor by Imperial Japan forced the United States into World War II. American forces fought across Europe and the Pacific, playing a pivotal role in the Allied victory over Nazi Germany and Japan. When the war ended, two superpowers were left standing: the United States and the Soviet Union. This kicked off the Cold War, a tense, decades-long rivalry of ideology, proxy wars, and the constant threat of nuclear annihilation. Back at home, the 1960s saw a different kind of battle. The civil rights movement fought to end racial segregation and discrimination, leading to landmark laws that expanded the rights of African Americans and other minority groups. The Cold War finally came to an end with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, but new challenges were on the horizon. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, fundamentally changed American foreign policy, leading to long wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Then, in 2008, a massive financial crisis caused the worst economic recession since the Great Depression. From ancient migrations to a global superpower, the history of the United States is a complex, dynamic, and often turbulent story of struggle, innovation, and transformation. It's a history that continues to unfold every single day. Thanks for watching, and if you found this journey through time interesting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history.